Damn, this is triggering. Whew, this is heavy. Life after divorce. When you see me laughing, it's because I'm crying inside. So number one, as we're telling you all of this, we're also speaking it. We're living and learning. Okay. Number one is acceptance. And it's usually the most difficult part of the equation, just accepting that this has happened. We have gone our separate ways. We have to learn how to live exclusive of each other. If you're co-parenting, you need to figure that out. I will give you a case study, a very good example. It's been publicized everywhere. After Jamal and Amira actually split up, there was a katif going on. There was this process where realities are still not aligned. Somebody thinks this is going on, another person is assuming this. There are people who are feeling entitled to your time, entitled to your attention, but you have separated. It is now time for you to accept, listen, this may be the mother of my children, but they're not in my life anymore. This might be the father of my children, but we're not together anymore. We need to create boundaries. We need to accept that, I am single, okay? I'm single. Do you know that I'm single? So that's usually, I think, the hardest part, accepting that you're no longer with this person, that it's over, and coming to terms with that.
It's crazy. It's crazy. Like, goodness. Anyway, every time. Oh my God. Anyway, being left, kuachwa, man, kuachwa is hard. But yeah, you need to give yourself the space for feelings, because ultimately there's a lot going on. First of all, are you the one who was left, or were you the one who initiated the leaving? That is number one. If you were the one who initiated...
Oprah.
Sorry. How?
Did you leave, or were you forced to leave?
Yes, it's a very good question. Did you leave, or were you forced to leave? Because ultimately, if you were forced to leave or you were left, you kind of have anger, resentment, all of these bubbling feelings. The 5 stages of separation. You're angry, and then eventually you kind of come to terms with it, and then you accept and you move on. So you will go through those 6 degrees of separation, which are painful as hell. You will ultimately ruminate in them, sometimes way too longer than you should, and you will eventually find a way to blame someone. As in, there's a lot of pain that goes on after that. But you need to give yourself that space, that time, to sort of kind of go through all of those motions without being interrupted, without lashing out at this person, whatever. And if you are the person that left, you also have a lot of feelings to deal with. For example, was it emotional abuse? Was it physical abuse? Was it all of that? Once you have left a relationship where you were abused, the relief that you feel can also be a bit of a guilt. It might also surge a bit of guilt, because you're like, wow, am I a bad person for not feeling bad about having left them, or having them left me? You feel a bit of guilt from all the relief that you feel, which can also be problematic. So point is, try and find some quality and quantity, a huge quantity of time where you sort of feel your feelings and keep it moving until you get to the other side.
Up next, co-parenting.
Oh, God.
And this is, I think, usually the most difficult part. If you guys didn't have kids, it might be a little bit easier to navigate, the process of divorce. But where children are involved, that's a whole new chapter, because this is an innocent individual. They need to remain unaffected by what's going on with the two of you, because at the end of the day, I think usually my greatest fear is inflicting my traumas on my child. If I'm going through something, my child does not need to know that. If you're going through something, the baby does not need to be involved. You don't want to create toxic children because you're also toxic yourself. So here comes the question of co-parenting. At some point, you're going to need to create a space where the two of you can function properly in front of your children, can function with dignity and with grace in front of your children. Like, no arguing in front of your children, no calling your partner names when they are not there, because these stories, their children are going to go and say, Mommy said that haunanga kichwa nzuri, Mommy said that haukwangi mrembo. So you need to create an environment where, as much as you two are dealing with things, your child is okay. Your child is going to school okay. They're spending time, you know, with both of the children. There is no baby mama drama where one parent withholds the child from another person. It is so unfair because what's the reason? Even if they're not providing for said child, let them see their child. You know, it doesn't make sense for you to hoard on a child. And I actually read somewhere that it's usually a power play. There's no one person who actually wants to be the primary custodian or really wants to be with this child.
Yeah, that's stress.
It's just a matter of how much power can I have over you by using our child as leverage. And once you figure that out, as in girls, please. I can have a lot of people who are going through this. Anyway, that's just it. Figure out a way to co-parent effectively.
Yes, and once you've gotten to a point of agreement of who's taking the children when, you need to also try and find time to spend with your children. Because as Turia had said, sometimes it's just a pissing contest, you know? Who will piss the furthest, who has the largest stream, all of these problematic things that are coming out of my mouth right now. Anyway, after you've gotten the chance to actually split custody and whatever, remember that this is not about you anymore. It's about your children. So you need to start having a plan on how to spend time with your children. For example, scheduling actual time with your kids. Yes, you're working. Yes, you're doing all of these other things that are important to fend for them, to fend for yourself, whatever. But still find a way of kind of engaging them whenever you have them, whenever you have the time. If it's the weekend, block out the whole weekend just to spend time with your kids. Take them out, stay in, watch movies, do what you need to do to have the ample amount of time that you want with your kids without them feeling like you are now rejecting them or, oh, I wish mommy was here or I wish daddy was here, stuff like that. Make sure that you are also scheduling routines. If the kids used to sleep at 10 o'clock, let them continue to sleep at 10 o'clock. Any changes that are too drastic on their routines and on how they've been living their lives up until now can be very detrimental and can be a bit traumatizing. Think about it. You think because my mom left, now I can't go and have ice cream with my friends on Tuesday, which was a scheduled thing. They used to have ice cream with their friends on Tuesday. Let them go. If they used to come home at like 6 o'clock and they'd go and play with their friends until 7:30 and you'd be the one going to collect them from the neighbors, then let them do that. Don't change it. Don't start acting all strict because it will confuse them and it can be very, as we said, traumatizing.
True.
Other things are like, make sure that there are consequences. Don't try and be the great parent. Where if we go to daddy's house, we never get punished. If we go to mommy's house, she always gives us treats. You know, don't try and do that. If there are consequences that have already been predetermined through your agreements with your partner or your co-parent, then uphold those. Don't try and make the other person look bad. Make sure that they also have responsibilities. A lot of kids will take advantage of you, baby. If you're not mindful, kids will take advantage of you. They're like, no, but mommy never tells us to do blah, blah, blah. Oh, but daddy never tells us to do. Kids can be very manipulative. So make sure that, yes, there are responsibilities. Like if you're waking up and you're doing your bed at your mom's house, guess what? You're going to do the same thing here. If you do wake up and make your own breakfast and make breakfast for your other siblings, guess what? You're going to do the same. Let's not try and be manipulated by our children. Ultimately, tell them gently about the divorce. Don't be those guys who are like, why can't you see mommy? Why can't you see daddy? And your excuse is always, they've traveled for a bit, they've gone to Shosho, they've gone to Guka. No, just tell them in a sensitive way. We are going through a separation. We still love you, but we cannot be together, so we will try as much as we can to continue to raise you, la 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 la. You know the spiel. Find a way that works for you. You know your children better than we know your children, so find the right words to help them out. So ultimately, spend time with your children.
Exactly. And I think sometimes you have to expand, your friend group. You have to figure out how to find new friends because as happens in most relationships, you'll have mutual friends, and you don't know how it's going to go. If you guys divorce, are they going to go with your partner, or are they going to become your friends? So if the friends choose the other partner side, it is now time for you to start looking for your own friends. I'm laughing, but it happens.
It's so painful.
And it is so painful because you're wondering, why can't we be friends? Why can't it go back to how it was before? But maybe they feel some type of loyalty towards, more towards one person than the other. It's unfortunate, but it happens. If it does happen, it's time for you to find new friends. And as an adult, that is daunting. I don't think I know how to create friends. Like people who I did not know from childhood, it is very difficult because you're never sure about intentions. It's weird, it's awkward, it's just a lot to create friends as an adult. But you have to take on the task. And you could do it, by joining a divorce support group. It sounds kind of lame. It sounds like a white person,
White person thing.
Exactly,
Activity.
because it's like joining AA, but for divorced people. So just find people who you have common things in common with, and figure out if you're going to heal together, find a way to deal with things together. That coworker that you're always rolling your eyes at, invite her for coffee. Mwambie, hi, I would like to know you better. Maybe I was judging you because I knew at the end of the day, my husband is at home. I can just go and tell him, by the way, that girl is a lot, So now it's time for you to expand your friendships, maybe in your workplace. Also, it's important for you to have a hobby because you have a lot of free time. No one is you're not texting anyone good morning. You're not replying to anyone's text. What are you going to do with that time? It seems insignificant, but when you add all that time you used to spend with your partner, it just becomes a lot. There's a gap in your life right now that you need to fill. So are you going to have a hobby? Are you going to start spin class? Are you going to go back to the gym? And this is what happens, when people go through a divorce. They get their body snatched. Unaingia gym because you're just fighting your feelings. Na chuma. You start taking protein and ish. So yeah, find a new activity, expand your group of friends, and also go to therapy, because what's navigating your emotions alone? It's not cute.
Yeah. And whether in combination with that, the reconnecting with yourself that Turi has explained, and trying out new routines as Turi has explained, like the practical things that you can try and do are, say because oftentimes when you're in a marriage, you form new habits, you form new hobbies, when you are cohabitating with someone, you tend to do ultimately the same exact things.
True.
The other day I was asked what my hobbies are. Couldn't tell you one. But after a while, you start to ask yourself, what are my hobbies? Not hobbies that I have gotten into. Not
together.
Yes, what are the things that I can do on my own? And nature walks is one of them. Those are things that I like to do. So start to remind yourself of things that used to complete you, or things that you used to like to do before you got into your long-term relationship, which ultimately ended up becoming a marriage, which ultimately ended up becoming a divorce. Think about all those things. Try and find them, Try and have new routines, because the problem is, like, once you are broken up with someone, once you severed these roots with someone, you tend to find that everything you're still doing is kind of the same.
True.
And then every time you used to wake up, every morning you used to wake up at 7 o'clock and go and have coffee at Shamkave. You sit there for like 3 hours, and you'd think about how we're gonna cook. It's the beginning of the week. Do I need to go shopping? Like, your whole life was pretty much centered around this particular person, or had a lot to do with that person. Now, instead of waking up at 7 o'clock and going for coffee at Shamgave, you can try and wake up and take a walk. Just change something in your routine. If you used to, every single Saturday, you'd sit down the whole day and plan how you are going to do a whole breakfast for them. And then after that, you would do like a whole movie session with them. And then after that, you would end up having friends over for barbecue. And then after that, you would go and, call your friends for hours. Change that routine. And Yana calling your friends for hours, end up with washing dishes. Like, change your routine, because it can be very, very helpful to you. Ultimately, it stops you from thinking about this person, because every time you're having coffee at Shamgave, you're like, they used to call me right now. And you're just crying at Shamgave. Can you leave Shamgave alone?
You see somebody drink water, you're like, it reminds me of them.
They were swallowing.
They used to drink water like that. But you know, at the end of the day, it's like a loss. It's like somebody has died
grieving
in your life.
Yeah.
And if it's not that, it's a feeling of rejection. You've given everything you can to this person, and they've said, no, I don't want it. Maybe there was a few shenanigans here and there, but you know, you give them their all, and they said, try somebody else. Get somebody else to do it. So you're feeling with all of these feelings of being unwanted and rejected, and if we're being honest, failure. And I saw, is it Tia Mori talking about she'd like to view her divorce as getting into the next stage of her life as opposed to failing at something. So try to do those white people perspective things, you know, like, I didn't fail, okay? I did not fail. I'm trying something new.
That chapter has ended, and now we're opening a new chapter of our lives.
After TikTok
I did not
influencer.
find my partner who just left the marriage was not the ultimate partner. He was just a path of enlightenment until my new relationship, which is my new relationship with myself. You know, manifest that white people
And
stuff.
also something we really do not talk about, as you're winding up very quickly, do not make divorce your whole personality. Do not be that person. We don't want to see it, okay? You are injuring all of us who are watching and cheering you, don't mention, and cheering you on. You know, you have transformed yourself to be the chairwoman of divorce.
Like, surely.
We do not want that. Nobody
Hi,
wants
my name's
that.
Turi, and I'm divorced.
And exactly.
Really?
Please,
No.
it's not cute. And also, if you can avoid social media, avoid.
Yes.
Because you're going to watch one sad TikTok.
Yes.
And then your whole timeline, itakuwa tu, whenever you're ready.
Or you watch a happy couple, and you now start being angry that you and your person did not do all those things.
Exactly.
Yeah, but ultimately, I think as you go home, do we have time for one more?
Wait,
we do not. Okay.
One more.
Fine.
Quickly.
Stop. Try and find yourself. Take time for yourself. One, because if you start seeing their partner, you'll be like, oh my God, are they hotter than me? Do you know those things? Those conversations you go like, have you seen her? Is she hotter than me? Have you checked her Instagram? Is she hotter than me? Stuff like that. It's just it does not help you at all. You find it difficult to move on to a new relationship simply because you're so struck and stuck on the other person and the ultimate, like, they were the best thing that ever could happen to me. Girl, they were the best thing for you then. Another good thing is coming. And if it doesn't, you're the best thing in your own life. And another one I see is sidelining your physical and mental health in order to favor your person. Have you ever broken up with someone and you're trying to look like you're at the worst of your life so that they can feel like you are nothing without them?
Exactly.
Yeah, girl.
Don't do that.
Boy, don't do that.
Don't do that.
Be like our friend who
Show
keeps
up in
going
Bali.
to the gym, getting hot, and then getting knocked up, and then back. In rotation, like 3 children.
Ooh, this has been a very... We're not going to mention names, okay? This has been a very triggering conversation.
Really
I feel like crying right now, but we're not going to do that. We're going to go home and heal, okay?
It's a lot.
It's a lot. I hope you had fun. We did. We have balancing tears, but all is well. We'll see you tomorrow.